Hey YouTube, this is Tom at TM Aquatics and I hope everyone's doing great. Today's video wasn't scheduled or planned. In fact, it's completely impromptu, but we had a situation here in the fish room and I thought I'd share it with you. One of the Plecos that we keep here at TM Aquatics is the L397. It's a fairly sought after Pleco and not always the easiest to source here in the United States. Now recently they started spawning for us, but we had a cave full of fry today that were in danger and we had to act fast to get them out of harm's way. And that's what today's video is all about. So anyways, we'll talk more about that in just a moment, so stick around and check this one out. All right, YouTube, the tank we're going to focus on today is the L397 tank. We're going to come down here, hook a left, walk past these tanks here to the left and the right. We're going to focus on the bottom 75 tank back here, all the way towards the back of the fish room. This is my L397 tank. Yes, I am aware that I have a bunch of koi angelfish in there, and that is another problem in itself, and I need to do something with them. But anyways, we have 12 L397s in this tank. The 397, it's a perilous, it's a wood eater, a vegetarian, more of a vegetarian type fish. However, they do enjoy a little bit of protein 2-3 times a night. Don't be afraid to feed them a little bit of protein, frozen bloodworms, Ebo Aquarius stick. You just don't want to feed them high protein foods each and every night, but they do enjoy some protein in their diet as well. But I have a total of 12 of them. Of the 12, I know that 3 are males, and I have 3 males that have odontodes on their the backside of their bodies. 2 males, the 2 largest males are down here in these 2 red caves on the very right side of the tank. Over here on the left side in this tank, or this cave here, I have a younger male. That younger male came from Cataclysm last year. And the nice thing about the 397 is it doesn't take nearly as long for these fish to reach sexual maturity. You compare that to a zebra pleco where it takes, sometimes 2.5-3 years. This guy picked up, he was a pretty small fish just last year. He already is sitting on a spawn right now. In fact, his eggs that he has in his cave are hatching right now. A lot of them broken out of the shell casing and they're wiggling around in the front of that cave. How do I know that? Because I just got done shining a torch in there just a little bit ago. But the L397, it's a very beautiful Pleco, very highly sought after, but for some reason extremely difficult to source, especially here in the United States. We're going to do our best here at TM Aquatics to make them available to anybody that wants them at a reasonable cost. I'm not going to say I'm going to be able to satisfy all the demand. What I do know is that when these fish, or when we have them available for sale, they're going to go extremely fast. But they're like a lot of other perilous. They're orange and black striped or banded fish. They lose a little bit of their luster as they get older. They don't maintain the colors and the striking patterns like maybe an L306 might, but they're still nevertheless an absolutely beautiful Pleco. And I know the camera doesn't really do them justice with the coloration and whatnot, but they're a beautiful, beautiful Pleco. And we're going to see that because we're going to be pulling out some older juveniles here in just a few moments, and you'll see just how vibrant and just how stunning those juveniles are. But here's the situation that we had today. Now, these 2 males over here, they've been spawning with females here recently. Haven't had a lot of good spawns. I allowed my TDS to get a little too low in this tank, so I recently bumped it up to 150, and since I bumped the TDS up, we've had 2 spawns, and both of them are successful spawns. One here in this red cave, another one over here. As I mentioned, that male is still guarding those eggs, and those eggs are hatching today. These here, they hatched out a week ago or so, and I was letting that male kind of do his thing. It looked like he was doing a pretty good job of watching the fry, and I wanted him to do his dad duties. Makes it a little bit easier for me. So that's what we did. However, the last couple of nights I've been noticing a few females sitting around these 2 caves. So I knew we had some females that were ready to go again, and came down here today and noticed that he had another female trapped inside of that cave, but in front of the female, towards the back end of the very end of the cave, were a whole bunch of fry. And I wanted to pull get the adults out and pull those fry, because I don't want another female going in there and injuring those fry. And that was a risk that, and I'm sure it maybe happens, and perhaps some of you have had that happen with your plecos, but I didn't want to risk anything. I knew I had a bunch of fry in there that were doing well, and didn't need another trapping going on as those fry were in there. So went to pull the cave. The male quickly exited. The female came flying out right after him. So all I had to do was pull that cave that was full of the fry, and we have them in a separate container. This guy over here also had a female trapped, and I bumped that cave, and he came flying out, she came flying out, but I'm not worried. Those females will be back inside those caves tonight, I guarantee 100%. And again, we have another hatch over here. I'll keep my eye on that. That young male looks like he's doing a fantastic job. No reason to pull the eggs or the fry out of there. I'm just going to let him do his thing, and again, it just makes it a lot easier on me if I don't have to tumble those eggs. But anyways, we have that cave that handled the fry right here. Over here you can see the fry. Now I haven't done a head count yet, but my estimation is 35 to 40. This is only some of them. We still have a whole bunch inside the cave here, but we're not gonna sit and mess around with them. They're gonna, if I don't get them in a tank, they're gonna get a little cool. This doesn't have a heater in it, so the temperature here in the fish room is 75 degrees. Don't want them to get too chilly, so we're actually going to put them in a different tank, but I need to get the fish that are in the tank they're going into out and into something else. I'm going to be putting those fry down here in this smaller tank, this 5-gallon tank, where I currently have 4 older L397s, and we'll get them pulled out, and we'll take a look at them, and you'll see how colorful the L397 is, especially when it's a juvenile. We'll find a new home for these 4 in here. We'll get all the detritus and all the garbage vacuumed up out of here, do a nice water change, make sure this temperature is right, and then we'll go ahead and drop those new L397s into this tank where we can target feed them and get them off on the right path. So anyways, let's get started. We're going to go ahead and pull these fry out, take a look at them, and judge for yourself whether or not this is an absolutely beautiful Pleco or not. Alright YouTube, so we removed the 4 older juveniles that were down here in this 5-gallon tank. We took out all the mulm and detritus, did a nice water change on that. We have the temperature up around 80 degrees. I did drop a heater in here as well as was acclimating them with some of the water they're going to be going into, so everything is kind of matched up as far as water parameters and temperature. Now I know a lot of people are going to ask, as long as we're on the subject of water temperature and parameters, what am I keeping these adults in right now? Let's take a look at the temperature. The bottom number there is what I have it set at. I have a 2 degree variance applied to this heater controller right now. So right now the current temperature is 80.7. and then it warms up to 82, and then once it hits 82 the temperature controller will shut down the heaters. So between 80 and 82 degrees, the TDS is right around 150 now. The pH is right around 6.97, somewhere in there. Pretty neutral pH to slightly acidic, and that's been working out. So anyways, we do have the older juveniles over here. Now they're stressed out, so of course they're a little faded. We'll just take a look at them. You can see that bright orange band. Normally the darker bands are almost just like a black. So because they're so stressed out, and we need to get these guys into a new tank as well. I'll probably be dropping a couple photos in here just to show you what they look like when they're not so stressed out. But my first concerns are getting these guys and the fish that are still remaining in the cave, get these little ones into that 5-gallon tank. So let's get that taken care of. Alright, the ones that stayed inside the cave, they make it really easy. I just simply pick these up. I'll just go ahead and drop that straight away right into the tank. There's not anything else you need to do with that. These guys here, I'm going to have to empty a bunch of this water out, and then we'll go ahead and empty what's remaining, the contents, with the little fry. We'll go ahead and we'll get them emptied into this 5-gallon tank. Okay, so we have this container fairly empty. I just left enough water just to keep them covered up. And we'll just come down here, slowly submerge this into the tank, and just try to coax them out a little bit. I think I'm going to have to set down the camera though so I can use both hands to kind of coach them out of that little corner there, but just kind of try and wash them out, see if they follow the water or not. Okay, I'm going to have to set the camera down and coach them out with my hands, but give me 1 second, I'll be right back. Alright, so we have them all out. Just want to make sure you check it over nice and good so you don't miss any accidentally. You always want to make sure, you never know when something kind of flips out, just check around the floor, around the tanks. You just never know when one kind of flips out and you don't see it. But you can see they're all scattered about in the tank. A couple of them down here, a few on the sides. A lot of them went straight back to the back corners where it's painted black. A couple of them did manage to come down here and actually went back in the cave as well. So, but we have the little ones in here. Now it's important with these perilous to have some ready to eat meals in there. And I have a few different pieces of wood in there. There's a piece back here, there's one here, one over here, then that one. Because these guys will rasp on it, and usually some of the first foods that they're going to eat is going to be the biofilm that grows on the driftwood. And I also like to usually include some catappa leaves, some aged catappa leaves. So I picked these up from Ken's Fish. I'll throw a couple of these in the tank as well, and these grow a biofilm on them rather quickly, and these little plecos will rasp on that and eat that biofilm on the wood and on those catappa leaves. And it's believed by some, and I'm not stating it as fact, but it is believed by some that run in the pleco circles that that biofilm kind of helps jumpstart their digestive system a little better than other traditional type foods. So anyways, we're going to go ahead, I'll drop a couple of these catappa leaves in here. We'll put the top on this tank here, and then we'll let these guys be. And I won't feed them, since they have a little bit of a yolk sac left. I'm going to give them probably a couple more days before they get introduced to their first food. And their first food, without question, is going to be this Ebo Aquarius stick, natural paste. This is a spirulina paste, but this will, without question, be their first food. Anyways, let's figure out what we're going to do with the older fry now. Alright YouTube, so here's where we're at. We have the 35 or 40 new L397s that we just pulled from the cave, or the adult male, over here in this 5-gallon tank. We did a nice big water change on there. We have a few pieces of wood in there, and we added some catappa leaves. And why did we do that? It's because these catappa leaves and that wood develops a biofilm, and that's usually one of the first foods that these fish will eat, and it's rumored to believe that that's going to help their digestive system get off on the right track. Now that said, the 4 larger juvenile L397s we had in here, we had to move. I ended up putting them over here in this 10-gallon tank, and it wasn't my first choice. Hey Trixie. Hi there. Hey baby. Hey little puppy dog. It wasn't my first choice because I didn't want to plug a heater into this tank. Right next to it is where I have my Scleromystax barbatus. They're a colder water fish. They like temperatures in the 60 to 75 range. And my concern is, now that I have this tank sandwiched between 2 tanks that have heaters in them, the temps might get a little bit warm for those barbatus, and they won't be really happy with that. So I think this is just a short-term solution for a day, maybe 2 days, maybe through the weekend, but I'm going to have to figure something else out. The 4 larger 397s are here. Ideally, I'd like to move them up to one of these 10-gallon tanks up here. But as you can see, all of these tanks are being used. I have a bunch of koi angelfish fry or juveniles in a lot of these tanks. This tank here is currently a hospital tank. I have a female L134 in there. She got beat up in a trapping by a male pretty bad, and she's in here being medicated right now. And then over here I have, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I forget how many, red coral pencilfish fry that I've pulled out of my CW49 tank and moved them up into here before they got eaten by their mom and dad. So I think what I might do is try to remove some angelfish out of these tanks here, put them down into this 40 long. This is where I used to have my group of L333s, and I just sold them a few days ago, freeing up this 48-inch tank. Now long term, my plans were either to move the Barbados into this tank or start yet another, a 4th colony of L134s. Good news is, not using it for anything specific right now. I just have a few rainbow fish in here, so I think what I might do is just kind of use this for a grow out tank for some of these angelfish, move some of these angels out, kind of thin these tanks down a little bit, free up one of them, move those L397s up into one of these tanks. Then I can unplug this heater and not worry about the temps in this tank for the Barbados. Now, I wouldn't mind moving the Barbados over here, but they're so small, they don't need to be in a 48-inch tank yet. I want to keep them in a smaller tank so I can target feed them and grow them at least another 1/2 inch before they get moved over there or into a larger tank. So, but anyways, I think that's what we're going to do. But an exciting day here at TM Aquatics, because this is really, I mean, we got the 4 juveniles out of the 397s over here. That was fun. That was exciting. That's great. But down here in this tank, this is the first successful large spawn that we've had from our 397s. And as I mentioned earlier, we have another male sitting on eggs over here. So, exciting day here at the fish room, TM Aquatics. If anybody's interested in buying some of these L397s, don't even ask. I'm not even close to that. Maybe next spring at the soonest. Nothing before then. But anyways, greatly appreciate each and every one of you taking time out of your day to watch one of my videos. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Hit the like button on your way out. Hit that notification bell and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Greatly appreciate the support. Again, thanks for taking time out of your day. And until the next one, folks, we'll catch you later.